Inflation hits a 40-year high. Cardano transaction volume off the charts, exploding, but ADA price down. What in the world is going on in crypto? What's up, everyone? Welcome to Crypto Capital Venture. It's a Cardano update. It's a crypto update. It's a inflation, economic mess update. It's a fear, uncertainty, doubt update. Hit the subscribe and like on the way. And let's jump into the video. This is Cardano on the 6-hour chart. I want to break it down. I want to first start with everything going on. And I tweeted earlier, inflation's at a 40-year high. Crypto is simply a hedge. And I think what's really important to note with that and highlight with that is in the zoomed out long-term story of everything. The global economic crisis that is really at hand. And I truly think something crazy is about to happen. That could be in a month, it could be in 6 months, it could be a year, but there could be a really big crash. And I think all of us know that, right? It's not something we're trying to ignore. We're always trying to evaluate, well, how long until it happens and how high can crypto go before it happens, right? We're always trying to evaluate those things. But the world, and this is obviously inflation in regards to US, but the world in general is kind of at a tipping point in many different regards. And we have to be very aware of that. And so, it's all over the news today about inflation at a 40-year high, pressures consumers, Fed and Biden, and there's a bunch of different talk. There's so many different opinions. I love this board right here. Cancel rent, and things are getting heated up, everybody. There's this tweet. This was by Walter Crypto. I'll put a link in the description. He has these data graphs that he posts, and I really like this one I just saw. And it's basically, it's your typical euphoria, capitulation, exuberance, dismay. It's the emotional sentiment chart that we see within crypto, but I like how it's laid out here. And I don't think you can actually see. Let me actually X out of this and we can just zoom in this way. You can see it says we are here. Bitcoin is here, neutral. And I have to say, when I'm looking at this chart, I really agree with this, especially from a content creator perspective. And I think this is some valuable data just to kind of hand off to you and let you know what I'm seeing on my end. This gray neutral area on the chart, and you can see it's right here in the middle. This is back in 2019. Here's, actually 2018, I should say. But right here in this gray, this was, and many of you might have been here, Bitcoin was trading sideways like crazy back here, around $6,000. And we were just, man, this is it. This is potentially the last just challenging part of this bear market before ready to go up to the upside, right? And it didn't go to upside. There was a capitulation phase after the $6,000 consolidation for months and months. And it was grueling to track that. And I have to say, from a sentiment perspective, from an engagement perspective, crypto markets, they feel the same way right now. They really do. And here we are, we're in gray, and I think it's the perfect sentiment to apply to crypto markets right now. Neutral. Because it is. Everybody's neutral, and you really find that in the sentiment flip on Twitter. Kevin Svensson, I follow him. He said something today about the markets and people's emotions was basically like people were bullish, and then all of a sudden they're bearish, and then they're bullish again, all in one day. And that is a neutral thing, right? People are just back and forth. They don't even know what to think. They're so indecisive, right? They're not in this fear because of capitulation and withstanding capitulation, but they're also not in this exuberance or euphoria of a bull run. It's just neutral. It's back and forth. People can't make up their minds. And this graph does a really good job of seeing that. So the point of showing this graph is be prepared. Maybe we come out of neutral and we go higher, but maybe we come out of neutral and we're entering capitulation. And you can see on the charts, that is 100% in play as well. And I just wanted to bring that up as we kind of do start talking about some charts, in particular Cardano charts. Change activity, I have to note this, over 10 billion, number 2 in transaction volume, 24-hour transaction volume. There's Cardano, 10.5 billion. Here is Bitcoin, 34.28 billion. And there's Ethereum, 8.79. Cardano, absolutely. The network is just, it's humming along, everyone. And yeah, it has its congestion challenges that are being dealt with and fixed, but this is an awesome sign for Cardano in the long term. It's an awesome sign for Cardano in the short term. It's so exciting to see this. Let's pivot to charts, because it's like, all right, well, what's up with the charts? Well, again, we're in this part of the market, this part of the cycle. Things are neutral. People are watching Bitcoin. People are watching the S&P. People are watching traditional markets. People are watching the fear about the volatility index with the fear and greed index, right? And I guess I shouldn't call it the fear and greed index. It's really just the fear index, the VIX, and we can take a quick look. People are watching this, and they're waiting for kind of an explosive move to the upside. Fear, meaning fear on the volatility S&P rising, and people are waiting for that, and that's lending itself to the uncertainty. So we start breaking down the charts on Cardano, and we start having a tough time really identifying what's up, what's going to happen next. Well, let's start with just charts. Let's start with charting data. It removes emotion. It removes all the noise that is happening in the world, and it allows us a starting point to evaluate. And that's why I like the chart so much. It's not to predict what's going to happen next. It's so I can understand what is price doing and what could happen next. Let's look at the possibilities and the likelihood of it happening. It really is possible to evaluate that data when we're looking at momentum and we're looking at things like oversold, overbought, all that stuff. So let's check this out. This is the weekly chart. The one thing just to point out is the revisit to that lower trend line right here, this long-term lower trend line, and it's an ugly looking weekly candle right now. 3 days left of the weekly chart as Cardano sits at $1.14. That's ugly looking. How will this weekend? We'll be watching it, but there's the revisit. We're going to dig into that. We've been kind of wondering is what's Cardano going to do at the resistance, and the reason why is at that lower trend line resistance on the daily chart. Check it out, the 50-day moving average. Cardano failed, and that's been the story of the entire downtrend since all-time highs, failing at the 50-day moving average, and here we are again. So with that said, what's up with Cardano right now, right? Here's the deal. This is what I'm watching. And this is a zoomed in, and I want to talk briefly on the macro and kind of the strategy involved, at least my strategy and what I'm thinking. But on the zoomed in charts, I'm looking for, okay, initial rejection at the lower trend line at the 50-day moving average area, that entire confluent area of resistance. There's been rejection, resistance. 20-day moving average, right around $1.10 right now. That's an area to watch for. Not only that, we do want to watch from the swing low to that swing high resistance now. Where's the Fibonacci higher low support? Let's track that and see. And here's what we're looking at. Here's the 6-hour chart. So there's the 50-day moving average resistance. This is a 6-hour, but there's where that resistance is, confluent with that lower trend line in white that you see. Then we're getting the move off of that area, coming down. Remember the 20-day moving average we just looked at, right around $1.10. And check this out. If we take out the Fibonacci from that swing low back here that we looked at to that swing high resistance, this is what we're looking at. The 618 right around $1.05 to the 786 around $1. This is, again, the fail-safe for Cardano to the downside, right? So Cardano could fall down to this area, see support, and guess what? Bounce to the upside. That would be a higher low for Cardano. I'm not even sure why I have that little box here, because that is not the Fibonacci. So the Fibonacci we're tracking is that swing low back here to the swing high down to the $1 to $1.05 range. So what does that say? If we're looking at this chart, and let me get rid of this drawing here. This is what we're looking at. Let me chart the rectangle around the Fibonacci. Get rid of the Fibonacci. Get my brush. And here we are. So going back to the daily chart, 20-day moving average support, first area support to check. That is 110 on this chart. It is right around here. The second area, the fail-safe support, the Fibonacci down here, around $1 to $1.05. That is a support for Cardano that we need to track. I want to note this. When we're getting the breakout out of that symmetrical triangle that we've been tracking to the 50-day moving average resistance, the throwback to symmetrical triangle is just so, and I don't have Bukowski's data up right now, but I think it's 60 to 70% throwback rate right? So it's a very consistent data point. So the fact that we're even getting one, or we're in the middle of a throwback right now, is not a surprise to me. We always test these areas. So to test this entire area right here, which is basically the upper trend line and the lower trend line areas of that symmetrical triangle, to me is no surprise that it's potentially happening. That's a support area that we want to watch for Cardano right now. But what I want to talk about, I had a really good friend over today, and we were talking about crypto, because he's not in crypto yet, but he wants to get in. And he asked, what should I buy? He's asking me that. And he also asked just the approach to buying. And that's what I want to talk about briefly in this video, because right now markets are at a very critical area. But just a quick glimpse of my view is this. And we'll use Cardano as an example, but it really applies to all of crypto. And that is, if you look at, if I can find the tool, the price range tool, Cardano's down. It is down a total of 70% around. Right now it's down around 63%, 64%. That, in my opinion, is, hey, it's a good area to average in, right? That doesn't mean go all in. It means that's a good area. This isn't financial advice, by the way. It's a good area, in my opinion, to average in crypto, but leaving fiat as well on the side, because if things get worse, it's going lower, right? It's not a scenario where I think it's wise to just, especially if you're coming into crypto right now, just going all in. I think it's wise to average in where you feel comfortable. And I use charts as a roadmap to that approach, meaning, all right, I'll accumulate some. Maybe things turn around here, which they very well could. And you want to be prepared for that breakout scenario. But maybe we hit the 80-cent target for Cardano, right? Maybe we hit, going to the daily chart, maybe Cardano actually sees it's the true resistance. It's the bearish confirmation of resistance. And it doesn't even only hit the 80-cent target, but it actually continues to the 50-cent target, which is that pattern target to the downside, 50 cents. So we have an 80-cent target, which is the broadening wedge in blue, and we have the 50-cent target. So maybe Cardano hits those targets. I want to have fiat prepared for that, all right? And I want to be able to accumulate in those scenarios. So when we see crypto dipping, right, I always talk about buy zones when I'm covering crypto, and I don't have the buy zone set. For me, it's just very simply $1 to 50. The heavy buy zone for me for Cardano is $1 down to 50 cents, and I've been buying before that. I have been buying before that crypto. I've been buying crypto, but the heavy buy zones are in that capitulation phase, and that circles me back to this chart. If that happens, we're in a neutral phase. There's definitely room for that capitulation, that last thing, right? Where engagement's bad now on social media crypto. Well, engagement's going to be even worse in that area. There's going to be so much fear, uncertainty, and doubt circulating, and that's when I personally would go heaviest in accumulation. So those are my thoughts. I mean, other than that, everybody, we're just here tracking. I'm just here doing a video for you guys and kind of just getting an update myself on what everything's looking like. I've been doing and focusing on other things. Can't stare at these charts all day because it's definitely no fun in this continued downtrend. But just wanted to track it with you, give you my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts below. Hit the subscribe, hit the like. I'll see you in the next video. God bless.